What's up, Jens guys? Time for another video. And I've seen this on the TV news weeks ago. It's been quite a topic, and I've been meaning to get around to do a video on it. And there's different ways I can take this topic and conversation. Matter of fact, it can break down into multiple subjects on separate videos. It's a lot to really sort through, even though it's about I give you the article here, and then I saw it on the TV news. Oh, yeah, right. And the way that the media, the TV media, wants to keep the naysayers in line, put a emotional, poignant story about this young girl that really needs it and all that, not to go on about it. Not to go on about her details, but presented in a fashion where if you openly question any of it, then you're some kind of insensitive monster. And that's the key to keeping the naysayers, and even the people that aren't naysayers, the people that are like, well, some people need it temporarily, that's fine. They don't really want that. They don't want nobody on the fence about it, or no naysayers. If you don't believe absolutely what you're told to believe about it, when they present like some poor little girl who needs the Adderall because they have ADHD, you say, you question it, or you say if there's any other way to, without people being put on something for the rest of their life, then they want you to be afraid to say anything because, oh yeah, you must have a hatred for this poor girl or whatever that's a victim, and you're an insensitive monster, see? And it'll also virtue signal you, yeah, you're also an insensitive monster if you don't find something to be on, and maybe you need to go to a therapist too, and maybe you need to be on something. You know what I mean? Yeah, the one thing I find is that's quite disturbing is that business, the pill mill business, has gotten so big that they literally have a shortage of a product. They got that much of a population on this shit and addicted to this shit that there actually is a shortage, and they have to give somebody something alternative. People say that's a good thing. I find it quite disturbing. This is a thing that's big business. I always said this to people, and I give you a proof in an article. The use of Adderall has become such a big business that there's actually a shortage of it. While everybody else is worried about a food shortage, I think we're just now slowly recovering, or some fear of what the shipping problems from the COVID thing that we had 4 years ago already. They were worried about food shortage and everything else. Yeah, now you see on the news, can you believe, yeah, this shit is big business. I'm getting into the point here. Oh, it's such big business that there's actually a shortage of it. There's not enough to go around. You gotta wonder how and why that got that way. Yeah, and then brought to you by the same purveyors of drugs that we were hearing about. Now they got to throw some people under the bus. They're indicting doctors. You know, the opioids are different heads of state and governors and attorney generals. You had to go after some. Well, for one thing, prosecutors, prosecutionists or prosecutors, or what do you want to call them? They advanced themselves anyway, and they got to throw somebody at the bus. You know, about the opioids and all that. Because people were getting wise. How come there's so much crime? How many people are getting addicted to these? There was a problem. They're selling fake ones. Well, they got that for like Adderall. I don't want to get off the subject because we're talking about Adderall, but I'm talking about hypocrisy. Everybody knew about the shit with opioids and other drugs that are legal with a prescription. And then when things get too bad, when their criminal friends, the very ones that make the rules, their criminal friends, it's getting too hot for them. They gotta make their sacrifices, their human sacrifices, and throw somebody under the bus and act like, when somebody gets wise. I don't want to keep it on the subject of the Adderall. It's such a shortage of it. They want to give alternatives. And to make a long story short, on the news, they're showing this girl, and the TV news and mainstream media will, they know what the hell they're doing too. When they show this poignant story about this girl, ADHD, and you don't want to make fun of anybody, and you try to be fair and say maybe a few people may have need these meds. But when you get a whole large amount of a population to a point where they're running out of it and there's a shortage and they got to give some kind of alternative to it, a pill. Anyway, they're making people slaves of these pill mills, huh? And I can see somebody when I talked about ketamine, I could probably see their comment right now. And if they don't like what I'm saying, if they want to patronize me and say it's an awful take, if they want to say something I have is an awful, I'm saying here, okay, if they want to say the opinions I have are an awful take, but yet patronize me and say they're a fan, and I don't have fans. I don't even know if I have supporters. I just have people look at my stuff and subscribe to me for whatever reason, patronize me, but yet say something is an awful take. If they advocate being a slave to that, that's up to them. But all right, not to be too much off the subject, this shit dovetails into the more serious things like food shortage everybody fears. And not that I let all other YouTube channels do my thinking for me, but there's a lot of different prepper channels that I've seen that they cover different topics about any kind of a collapse, right? People are going to be worried about food and clean water. But when people are hooked on these different pills, and I feel sorry for people that need things for their blood pressure and all that, you can do entire videos, okay? Not to jump subjects too much, you can do entire videos how you hope that nothing collapses, because people that need stuff for their blood pressure, diabetes, and all kind of things, and a lot of legitimate things that, and I don't want to do like the Fullerton Informer do all my thinking for me, but anything you get people hooked on, and you know what, there's a thing, they're sabotaging people's psyches and bodies. You may want to make sure that everybody's on this Adderall. I actually have video clips that I almost want to put here from the president of the Future Freedom Foundation, where he said every little thing that happens in school, these kids are bored with this afflicted education, and they want to get a mental help and push this mental health thing and put them on Adderall and all that crap. I'm saying it in a sarcasm in my own words. I ought to get the exact clip and show you, but my version of what the president of the Future of Freedom said in a particular clip. I don't want to go on about it, but in my own words, I can expand on his words. That's what I'm doing. I think this ADHD or this trauma thing or like mental health, I don't want to make fun of every single buddy, but anybody that has any of these mental health problems or trauma or imbalances, make no mistake about it, there's different avenues, if you will, where from when you're a kid, they don't, it's right on, they make sure it's right under your nose. They'll do it to you right under your nose and try to weaken everything physically and psychologically. Well, from the time you're going to school, you're going into that fenced concentration camp they call the public school. Well, some people not totally condemning it completely, because after all, you didn't have any schooling, you'd be dumber than a box of rocks, and you can't form any opinions like I'm doing right now. You got to have reading comprehension. and be able to read, write, and do some basic counting, right? But at the same time, you're told by your parents, by your authorities, by your teachers, by everybody, well, when you're sent away for a while on them buses to the concentration camp, they let you maybe gym class, some recess. Some people, the schoolyard recess is like the prison yard, and you get bullied or whatever. And everybody knows what they're doing too. The people will get bullied if they're not conforming completely to a particular thing. Well, you're sent to school, right? You're taught to not be smart, and you're basically property. You're owned. A lot of pressure. There are some parents and some teachers are better than the others. This is what I'm saying. I'm not jumping subjects here. I'm trying to squash a bunch of different subtopics in here that you can make whole videos about, right? Some parents are better than others. Some teachers are better than others. But in the long run, everybody starts out, you grow up, you're owned, right? You got all these pressures being shoved on you. Getting up there, sleep deprived, go into that concentration camp they call the public school. And the ones that have all the friends, too, are the very good memorizers. After all, you're told by everybody in authority, and even by your friends and your peers, and even some of the bullies, you're sent to school, but you're told, don't get smart. So otherwise, you're told in a reading this is how I'm getting here. Well, I'm telling you anyway, this is because why people are put on these drugs. These people are overwhelmed. They want some of these kids to be overwhelmed. And at the same time, they're getting your teachers, parents, police, and everybody from the top up, and some of the bullies, the different kinds, whether some are the jocks and some of them are not the jocks and everything else. The different mixtures of races and all that, or the bullies to try to keep everybody in line, and report on each other or whatever. And everybody, maybe even a lot of your bullies, they're being pressured, if you will, that they have demands inflicted on them about what they're supposed to be, and it's hard to keep attention on one thing when you've got so many things hammering you in the face. You gotta learn this and that, and you gotta be socially this and that. And some of people are outside of the school. The kids are a member of some church. Some churches are better than others too. Be a good robot, whether you're in school, in the public school, or some different churches with different attitudes, religions with different attitudes. Oh yeah, you're taught reading comprehension. You don't have any kind of comprehension, right? You're dumber than a box of rocks. And then at the same time, you're pressured into, okay, reading comprehension, but this is how you read a paragraph or something, or a statement. And add to the mix that they're redefining words and statements now, even worse. So you're told, don't get smart. A particular statement or paragraph you read in a book means this and only this. And yeah, don't question it. No critical thinking. You memorize like a robot. And you're not made to say something in your own words like some people were used to. They'll let you to a point, but then tell you it's wrong. And throw gender identity, deliberate, the deliberate undermining and changing of gender identity now. Identifying as your biological gender is a big sin now. Throw that in there. Get people. What I'm trying to say, if you got this far in this video, a bunch of things that you're being assaulted with even when you're younger, which is, I'm glad I'm not in school, and assaulted with even more. Their answer is medicate people with, say you got ADHD, or a bunch of other things, and the kids realize they're being, or even adults later on, going to these jobs. They realize, when everything they do leads up to getting a job to afford a place to live, or where they go to college and all that, how you're expected to behave, or else you'll get thrown out of that job, and you'll be destitute with no paycheck. or the person who believes this way will be the one that gets the promotion and the raise, or behaves like this. They'll hire you at this wage if you act. It's all, you're assaulted by all this stuff, and they take all of that, and they don't want anybody to really go through a lot of this stuff. They rather you have, I want to call it a psychological vertigo. Say you're looking right at this camera right now or something. You're not really going to a literal vertigo and see anything spinning. You're looking at me in this camera, but your brain, they want to keep these people, their brains go blah, blah, blah. They want to medicate these kids, and and then a lot of people turn to these other recreational drugs too, or alcohol, legalized pot. It don't matter. It's all big business. Oh yeah, business is real good. It's so good that we have a shortage of the product, so we gotta introduce another product in our pill mill to manufacture. If you got this far in this video, God forbid you don't ever find out how to way to stable yourself and have an arrogant attitude and wire your own brain and stabilize yourself. Then they'll just say you got a problem. You're mentally ill. You're probably a wannabe militant terrorist, Satan worshiper, or yeah, if they don't, the same people that call you a Satan worshiper, if it's convenient, they'll call you a right-wing nut. Okay, same people, they can call you both either thing that's convenient. You know what I mean? Depending on who decides to critique you. You know what I mean? They call you anything you want. Yeah, if you find yourself, say I'll do a video on this later, more specifically, why you don't need any of this shit. And if you got this far in this video, the answers are simpler than you can imagine. The simplest thing around. Say you take a long walk and you go without water and food a little while. I'm just going to give you a little teaser for what one of my other videos I wanted to do. And some of the religious people will like it and some of them don't too. Say you took a long hike or walk somewhere, or if you have or had to walk from somewhere, no food, limited food and water. Unlike religions that tell you to go on a fast in order to indoctrinate you, that's all different subject matter too. I'm just giving you a little teaser. Well, the keys to that, say if you smoke, it's your business too. But the key to not needing any of that shit and stabilizing yourself is simple as maybe you walk around somewhere for a period of time. Hey, yeah, your car breaks and you walk from some workplace, or you take the bus to some job, you walk from some workplace. Take the bus even, walk instead, right? Where anybody else walking with you will be all bitching and say, oh, I need a cigarette, or I need this and that. There's another gratification that will overcome this Adderall and these other garbage people are pushing. And if these people see that you can do simple things like do some kind of job or walk farther somewhere, say if they were to walk next to you somewhere in some faraway location to get somewhere, these people will hate you with a passion because they'll be, I need my Adderall, I need a cigarette, I need a beer, I need a joint. And then you're walking too confidently and saying, if you're the kind of person that they feared it, instead of, okay, this is a thing where my mentality is, if you're dependent on any kind of a thing for any reason, because it's wired into you, they make damn sure, because it's big business. The same people that create those circumstances, they have the power to take it off of you, either temporary or permanently, to punish you for saying a particular, get smart with them. And those are the kind of people that hate you if you have no dependency on a particular thing that they hold that you need. Then they don't have no way to punish or harass you. I mean, if they have to get somebody to, they have to get you, me, and all these people who defend this garbage to have a need for it and to be dependent on it for them to be able to ever. If they cannot do that, then they can't say temporarily take it off of you to punish you for some kind of wrong thing. And a matter of fact, if you're hooked on that, there ain't going to be no wrong thing. Matter of fact, most of the robots, the pre-programmed robots out there that are addicted to all that shit, they're going to believe any doctrine or moral platform that they're told by the person who holds the thing they're addicted to. So there ain't going to be no real disagreement or disobedience or civil disobedience of any kind. You know what I'm saying? Even though I jumped a lot of subjects in this video, I think I can break this down in other pieces, parts of the video. I can break down this stuff in separate videos, but if they want everybody to be broken and needy and dependent. And okay, and going back to that on the news with that girl, they're making that poignant story. I should have said this in the beginning of the video. They do that shit so that there's a virtue signal, if you will, in their you can be watching it on TV, which is you and a couple people in the room, but out there in public, they indicate that if you criticize their need for any of that, you're some kind of monster. And a matter of fact, you should want to be there too. You should, and they used to even have the commercials for all the other stuff, like the other stuff that they want to they want you to take over top of it. I mean, I'm not saying every single person on these things are bad people, but you got to be suspicious when a whole lot of the population is on it. That's no accident. That's deliberately induced, and the way it's being induced, from people like from a young age, right under your damn nose. You know what I mean? All you got to do is, like I said, sleep deprived people, send them to public school, get them sleep deprived, and then throw a bunch of social pressures all at once while they're sleep deprived, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they think they have ADHD, where they're just so, like, got a bunch of anxieties and pressures, ups and downs, so many different, a vertigo of emotion, if you will. You need medicine to stabilize yourself. And what happens is why they get these anxieties, they don't even know it, is inside them somewhere, everything that they're involved in socially is just all wrong. I mean, their whole life being planned for them. But I'm not saying, too, that, don't have any kind of education at all, be dumber than a box of rocks. But like I said, too, you're being told, sent to school, but being told to, in and outside of school, oh, you're required to be educated, but they also say at the same time, don't get smart. I mean, everything you're taught to memorize, the comprehension, the meaning is what we say it means. And if we change the word, if we want to change the meaning for that and update it, you better be hip to it and don't question us. You gotta, if we want to change the biological gender identity and inflict it on you, and we order you to depart from the old way, or identifying as your biological gender, or identifying this or that, I mean, we'll actually get to tell you what you should identify as too, so that you don't hurt the feelings of these other people. And I mean, from the very beginning, it's like what the guy in the Fullerton Informer was saying. In my own words, not just stealing the shit off of him. It's like they keeping you emotionally and mentally off balance, and they do it by creating these dysfunctional, abusive households on top of that. And if you don't live in a dysfunctional or abusive household, you could be living in a nice household and they can go to church, or you can be the jocks, or you can be this and that. And even though it's not an abusive household, it could be a high pressure household. The fear of not being in the number one crowd, and you got to pander to every little thing, and there's so much stuff to pander to. A constant anxiety there too. You know what I mean? They want to get people from every walk of life. You know, it's big business, and it's such big business that they're literally the pill mill cannot keep up. I find that quite disturbing.